Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Welcome to all for this session on Ganesha Purana to chapter 51. In the previous parts of this Ganesha Purana, we have seen how Parvati got separated from Shiva because of the fear of demon Tripura, and she ran away for the shelter under her father, who safeguarded her in a cave. And then Parvati came out of that cave after demon Tripura had gone, and then she now wanted to reunite with her husband Shiva. Then Himalaya or Himavat, her father, told her about the Ganesha Chaturthi Vratha, the Vratha to be done on the fourth day of the Bhadrapada Masa. And with that, he explained in detail the procedure, the ritual of worshipping Gajanana. And with that, with as Ganesha is pleased, he told her that he will be reunited with Shiva. Quite naturally, the moment Parvati or anyone heard about something new, they wanted to know whoever has performed it in the past and what success they had gained because of that. It's like testimonials. So Parvati asked her father, Himavat, I'm pleased with your immortal words, O father, but remove this doubt that I still have, O Himalaya. Who previously performed this vow, the Vratha, earth holder? Who described it to whom and who gained what success from it? Answer this in detail and remove my doubt. The person who asks about the auspicious tale of Gajanana, the one who speaks about it, and the other who hears from it are the three people who partake the merit of their birth, life, knowledge, and action will all become fruitful. She put this particular question, and Himavat told her about the many people who performed this vow for that Vratha for the boon giving Ganesha. The mountain father Himavat had told to Parvati, O Parvati, listen, and I will narrate this old discussion which contains a traditional account of that vow that causes absolute success. The moment whenever I say about the vow, it basically means vrata in Indian culture. Once, when Shiva, the teacher of the world, was comfortably seated on Kailasa, the best of the mountains, amusing himself happily with the gods, heavenly musicians, and supreme sages, six faced Skanda, whose fiery energy is great, questioned him above after having bowed to him and eulogized him. Skanda asked Shiva, O God of the gods, Lord of the worlds, cause of security for your devotees through your favor, I have heard many celestial tales, but, Father, I have still not had enough, even after having drunk that ambrosia like liquid. Now tell me about the God's auspicious vow conferring success on every ambition, the performance of which produces successes which fall into the hands of accomplished men because of the boon giver's favor. Shiva replied to Skanda, what you have asked is good, Skanda, as it promotes everyone's good. O son, I will gladly tell you about that vow pleasing to Ganesha, which is the best of the vratas and gives huge success in the world. Skanda, you are son of Kritikas, even without prayers, offerings, and so on, and without sacrifices and gifts, it is effective in respect of all the aims of men. O Skanda, it causes absolute success, increases one's sons and grandsons, and in addition, this superlative Vratha quickly brings a king or a prince as well as their advisors under subjection. The power of that Vratha instantly frees a man from great and lesser evils occurred over many lives. A man on earth is a vessel for all successes, but on the earth there is nothing giving satisfaction like that of this Ganesha Vratha. Then Skanda asked, O father, in what month should this superlative Vratha would occur? What rules are pertinent to it? And who previously performed it? If you have compassion for me, tell me all about it. Then Shiva replied back to Skanda, on the fourth day of the bright half of the month of Nabha, after having, this is basically the Bhadrapada, after having one bath, one should go to one's teacher's house where after bowing to the teacher, subsequently honoring him according to the ritual and gratifying him with the very best of ornaments, clothes, and water for purifying the mouth and feet, one should duly begin the vrata with his permission, with permission of the one's teacher, saying, O Lord, you alone are the illustrious Ganesha. So teach me the Vratha of Ganesha, which brings about absolute success and gives what one wants. O venerable teacher. So this question need to be asked to the teacher, asking him a procedure to perform the Ganesha Vrata. After the teacher has taught the Vrata, one should accompany him to the bank of Ganga or to a pool excavated by the gods, and one should bath in it according to the precepts, smearing oneself with wet dough made of sesame, mustard, and dhatri. After performing the obligatory rite, one should return home, O six-faced Skanda. Then, after sitting on a clean seat and worshipping Ganadhipa, one should begin the vrata in the manner as what teacher has given the instruction. Generally, the vrata should not be performed simply by hearing to this particular story. This story is mainly for information sake, and the vrata need to be done as per the instructions by one's own teacher. After having an image of Ganesha out of clay on the fourth day of Shravana, one should worship it daily until the fourth day of Bhadrapada. Remaining in a vrata, a vow of celibacy, one should perform the vrata of the highest quality by fasting, eating only one meal, or by not asking for food at night. In the evening of every day, being in a composed state, the devotee should eat food appropriate for sacred occasions, and he should perform the vrata while eating sweet honey. Daily recitation is then prescribed. O six-faced Skanda, irrespective of whether one recites a mantra of Ganeshwara which has 6 syllables, 8 syllables, or indeed just 1 syllable, 10 syllables, Skanda, or even 12 syllables, a million or just 10,000. And while meditating tirelessly day and night on the god Gajanana, one should perform a fire sacrifice, that is a homa of 10 parts, half of that or half of that. That means as many number of times they repeat the recitation of the mantra, half that much time they should perform the homa, offering the sacrifices. When the fourth day of the month of Bhadrapada has come, one should construct out of gold to the amount of a pala or half of that an auspicious image of Gajanana having a rat or a peacock as his vehicle. After constructing a small pavilion, one should then place a quantity of grain in it, after which one should set up a gold, silver, or copper plate on which a lid of gold, silver, or copper should be placed. After wrapping up the lid and the water pot containing five blossoms and five jewels in two pieces of cloth, one should, to the accompaniment of root mantras, the bija mantras, and mantras described earlier, place the Lord on a seat which was previously been set up for his worship. O six faced Skanda, after meditating on the god Gajanana and evoking him with the greatest, highest joy, one should provide the seed, the foot ablution. These are the 16 different offerings which was explained in the previous chapter. So one should provide the seed for Gajanana, the foot ablution, water for sipping from the palm, and Skanda, a bath containing water to be offered to the guests, and gems rendered auspicious by the immortal food. A pair of red garments and a sacred thread of the highest quality should also be provided. One should then adorn the Supreme Lord with ornaments of various kinds, uncrushed fragrance, incense, lights, and various kinds of offerings. And one should feed the Supreme Lord with their rice pudding, boiled rice, sweetmeats, cakes, and cakes of fried pulse, etc. The five immortal foods and seasonings. Then one should place some unguent on his unguent on his hand, also some fruit and betel nut, and give an honorarium of gold, an umbrella, a fan, and a fly whisk. After one has offered flowers with the recitation of mantras and has waved some lights before the image, one should recite some eulogies and one should honor the Brahmins after reciting the 1000 names of Gajanana, which was explained by Ganesha himself in the past in chapter 46. Remaining awake during the night, that is Jagarana, to the accompaniment of auspicious singing and dancing, bathing, and performing the obligatory rite according to the precept when the clear dawn breaks. When the clear dawn breaks, one should worship the god as aforesaid. One should then perform a fire sacrifice, that is the homa, and after making an offering with various sacrificial substances, one should honor one's teacher by presenting the teacher with gold, sesamum, land, and cows, etc. And to other Brahmins, one should give an extensive honorarium. Afterwards, one should feed 108 Brahmins more if one has, this is minimum number, minimum 108 Brahmins, and more if one has the capacity. Otherwise, they can also limit it to only 21 Brahmins. And to the weak, blind, and miserable, one should give food, including rice pudding, and on receipt of an excellent benediction, one should once again offer an honorarium. One should then silently and diligently feed him oneself along with one's friends and relatives. Shiva continued, Skanda, I have just narrated to you the auspicious vow Vratha of the boon giver, which gives liberation and carnal enjoyment to men, as well as bringing every desire to fruition. On this very subject, I am now going to tell you an old tale. Once there was a king named Kardama who was greatly occupied with the law. He protected ocean bounded earth with his own power, and captivated by his good qualities, the gods remained constantly in his house. Once, due to the influence of fate, Brigu went to his house, whereupon, after standing up, the king beckoned him, whose great esteem precedes him, to a splendid seat, and honored him as if he were his teacher. While the best of the sages was eating, the king addressed this speech to him. The king asked, O illustrious sage, who knows all truths, please answer whatever I ask you. Who was I in a previous birth, and what good action did I perform which has caused me to get a kingdom like this, which is free of enemies, one which other kings did not get? Because others have not got it, and I had got it. And what is the secret behind that? And which others will not get? Even gods, demons, snakes, and heavenly musicians honor me. O sage, behold my wealth, which is the equal of Kubera's fortune. Any jewel like things that exist in the triple world is brought here by its own power. Any object I wish for, I see in my house. Tell me what karma has brought this great fortune for me, O Lord, because I want to continue acting in a way conducive to merit and to the best of the meritorious men, because he can continue to live in the same comfortable world. Brigu then replied back to him, O most splendid among the kings, I will tell you this because of your respectful conduct. In your previous existence, that means in your previous birth, you were an undefiled but weak warrior, undertaking activities in order to support your household. Yet the work you were doing yielded no result for you. Hurt by the terribly harsh words of your wife and children, you went to the impenetrable forest without first having consulted your son and wife. Wandering about all over the place, you saw Saubhari while he was in the Siddha posture, surrounded by the bulls of sages, and reciting great wisdom to his people that was destructive of anguish. On seeing the celestial Saubhari and the other groups of sages, O king, you fell prostrate to the ground and then greeted you. And when he directed you to do so, you sat on the sage's seat. Obtaining a favorable moment, you respectfully questioned that celestial sage. In the previous birth, Kardama asked, O Lord, I am tormented terribly by the anguish caused by recurring existence, and I have terribly wounded by the worldly loves of my friends, wife, and children. Even so, my heart feels no loathing towards my cruel friends, Brahm, terribly distressed by thirst, hunger, heat, and cold. O sage, tell me some way of passing over this ocean of anguish. After he had heard the speech of that king who in his previous birth of the Kardama, Saubhari became filled with pity, and he thought about a way to destroy his anguish. Then he spoke to the warrior about freeing him from all his evil. The sage Saubhari replied back to him, I will tell you about a Vratha which you must perform with a resolute mind. Merely by performing it, there will be an end to all your anguish. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, as well as Brahmanical sages who have performed it, have become free of all anguish and have obtained the unsurpassed perfection of the boon giver, Ganesha. It gives accomplishment in the law, power, sensuosity, and liberation. Thus ends the that 51st chapter in the thus ends the 51st chapter in Ganesha Purana, in which Parvati asked Himavat regarding whether anyone else has done the similar vrata in the past. And then Himavan started telling the story of how this vrata in the beginning was told by Shiva himself to Skanda. And on account of telling this story, Shiva explained to Skanda regarding the story of a king called as Kardama, who had all the fortunes in the present life. And when the king was wondering how he got all these fortunes in this life, one day Brigu came to his court. So he asked Brigu what was the reason. Then Brigu told him about his past life, that in the past life, the same king was in a very bad state of life, and in that bad state of life, being thrown away by his wife, children, and friends, he left for the forest and he went to sage Saubhari. And Saubhari told him to perform the same Ganesha Vrata. And probably it is because of performing that Ganesha Vrata in this life, he had all the fortune for himself. नमस्ते शारदा देवी काश्मीरपुरवासिनि त्वामहं प्रार्थये नित्यं विद्यादानं च देहि मे नमस्कार. Goodbye.